Hey guys, Bird Yugioh here, coming at you with another video slash deck profile. As you can see, this is not the Thunderclap Skywolf 100 subscriber video yet. I'm still waiting on those cards. I ordered them a while ago, still haven't seen them. So I thought we'd just do a fun little deck while we're waiting on that one. And kind of like just a little Banlist discussion as well. So the Banlist dropped a few days ago. There were some changes as far as us rogue and budget players. All it did was help us. We'll start with like the forbidden. So aggro pain, and you're using that mostly, or at least as far as rogue goes, you're using that in pendulum. And aggro pain, it's just another negate that you're losing. That's the only thing it messes with. You can still do your LP and all your other, Guard Dragon and Hieratic Seal combos, so it doesn't really mess with that too much. Nightmare Mermaid, kind of big for, like Nightmare variants of like ABC and Spiral and whatnot. But the Orchest, engine, I feel like kind of needed to go. It was getting a little stale, seeing it in every single deck. So yeah, that Nightmare Mermaid, fine. Then we go to limited. The only one there is Widow Anchor, which just, again, keeps Sky Striker in check. Honestly, now that's really not much of a good deck anymore, per se. We got semi-limited is Dark Arm Dragon. Okay, it's not doing much. And then now we get to the unlimited. Chaos Emperor Dragon. That's fine. Malicious, that's kind of big. I'm a huge fan of Masked Hero decks. So I got one coming up, actually. That'll be using as well, Stratos. That came off the ban list. Which, having it semi-limited or unlimited, it doesn't make a difference at all. You're just going to see it more in your opening hand, which I would prefer to special summon Stratos than to normal summon it, but obviously still normal summoning it is good. You're still searching out stuff. Aether, the Heavenly Monarch, that's really good for Monarch decks, obviously. Really, really good card that you're now going to be able to see a lot more than you were, especially when it was at 1. Insector Dragonfly, it needed to come off. It was not, hurting the deck being at 2, so why not have it at 3? Shurit, honestly, in a Necros deck, I don't even want to play more than 2. Even when it was at 1, I felt like that was fine, but for the deck, so having it at 3 doesn't affect my Necros deck in any way, because I'm probably still only going to play 2. El Shadal Construct, that's kind of big for Shadal decks. Going from limited to unlimited is kind of cool. Royal Tribute, not doing much. And then Super Rejuvenation, same thing, for Dragon decks, I guess. It's kind of cool to draw during the end phase, but yeah, doesn't really do much. So overall, the ban list didn't hurt us. It helped out, a few decks, especially that as budget players like to play. So yeah, for today, I am going to be doing a Melodious deck. Melodious Diva, kind of like an Aria Lock deck. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit as we're going here. Again, sorry I'm not doing the Thunderclap Skywolf as soon as those cards come in, so it could very well be Monday, hopefully Monday. I can get that deck done for you guys. It's going to be super cool. But yeah, in the meantime, I will give you this deck. So to start off with, we play 3 Aria, the Melodious Diva. Basically, they didn't come out with the best support cards for this deck, I feel like. They should have come out with more cards that just special summon, rather than have a stipulation as, like, if you control no monsters, you can special summon. That's what all these cards will say as I go through them. So it's sometimes a little difficult to special summon some of these, but if this card is, or while it's special summoned, Melodious monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects or destroyed by battle. So that's kind of two ways of locking out there. I'll show you another card that just like complete lockdown, unless your opponent uses non-targeting removal. It's going to be very hard to get past, a board with Aria, and the other card I'll just show you is Elegy. So yeah, Aria, super good, definitely necessary. Play 3 Soprano. When this card is special summoned, you can target one Melodious monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So it's good mid to late game, kind of get you some resources back. But also, so if this one once per turn while this is on the field, you can special or fusion summon one Melodious fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control. So it's basically your way of fusion summoning very easily. If you have basically just 2 Melodious cards, including this one on the field, you'll be able to go, into one of your strong fusion plays, and I'll show you that. Cannon. So this is one that does special summon itself. If you control a Melodious monster, you can special summon this from your hand. And then once per turn, you can target one Melodious monster you control and change its battle position. So sometimes you'll just want to do it for this one. If you special summon this, if it happens to be in attack position, switch it to defense. Or same with like Aria, if that happens to be in attack and you want to switch it to defense, you can always do that with Cannon. But it's mostly just special summon fodder for going into like easy rank 4s, or again, if you normal summon Soprano, you can special summon Cannon and then go into a fusion play. So super good cards. We also play 3 Sonata. This one it's a level 3, so all these are level 4. We do play Transmodify, so this you can go into like an Aria, special summon out of Aria pretty easily, which is most of the time what you're going to be wanting to be doing if you happen to have a Transmodify. But this one is another one. If you control a Melodious monster, you can just special summon this from your hand. And then while this special summon card is on the field, all fairy type monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. So that comes up a lot, boosting all your attack and stuff, so you can, stop your opponent and then, proceed to hopefully beat him next turn. We play 1 Elegy. Only play 1 because it's a level 5, so it's kind of hard to get out unless you're just special summoning it from the deck, which is most of the time what you're going to want to be doing, because this one states, special summon Melodious monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. So you got Aria and Elegy. You're not going to be able to be targeted by card effects, destroyed by card effects, or destroyed by battle. So like I said, the only way of getting around that simple board, it looks simple, but is non-targeting removal is the only way of getting around that. Which there's some cards that do it, but if you have like heck, we also play a barrier statue. If you have that on board, your opponent's not doing anything. They probably are going to have to just scoop. But yeah, Elegy, very good. Again, only 1 because it is a 5. And then as well, since we're playing Transmodify, if you have one of your level 4s, you can easily special summon this out from the deck if you have Transmodify. Play 1 Tam Tam, just to have another level 4, and also a Polymerization Searcher. There's ways of special summoning that pretty easily. And we played 2 Score. So that's not really one you're wanting to be special summoning very often, or summoning at all. It's more it's like an Honest, basically. But this one is during the damage calculation. If a Melodious monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this to the graveyard and change the opponent's monster's attack to 0. So it does pair up well actually with Honest, because this Honest is during the damage step. This is during damage calculation, so you can activate Honest, boosting your monster's attack by their attack, that is the monster it's attacking, and then you can also activate this and during damage calculation to then change it to 0, so you're doing even more damage. It's just a cheap, easy way of making sure your monsters don't get destroyed by battle. And then you saw it already, but play 1 barrier statue. It's obviously a deck where we're playing Ties of the Brethren, so it's kind of a no-brainer. A lot of times I find myself not even wanting to summon this out, and instead, going for like Aria and Soprano and just other ones besides that. But if you happen to have, say, Soprano, then you can just summon out those two off of Ties of the Brethren, and that's pretty good. So it definitely comes up. Barrier Statues is very good. And then the last few cards we play, as far as monsters go, just some hand traps. 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Effect Veiler. It's mostly a go first deck, so you kind of want to throw in some go second, hand traps to kind of stop your opponent. Always good to have. For the spells, 3 first movement. I wish it just said special summon 1 level 4 or lower Melodious monster. But it says if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 from your hand or deck, and you can only activate it once per turn. And you cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card, except Melodious monsters. So you got to kind of keep an eye on that. A really good card, actually the newest card. It came out in Soul Fusion, so not too recent, but it's the newest one, support for this deck. But this one again says if you control no monsters, you fusion summon 1 Melodious fusion monster from your extra deck, using 2 monsters from your hand and or deck. So mostly you want to be sending them from the deck to the grave. And then during the end phase, destroy the fusion monster and summon the fusion materials. So you can already see where that's going. We have a really good fusion in Schuberta. She just requires 2 Melodious monsters. So to summon her out, you're going to activate Ostinato, and you're going to send, Elegy and Aria, and then you can see where this is going. So that's summoning out her, which is really good. And then during the end phase, destroy this, special summon these out, and you got an amazing lock off of just 1 card. So really, really good card. Something that it really did, help this deck out in kind of a weird way, but it did. And then we played Ties of the Brethren. You've probably noticed I play Ties of the Brethren in a lot of our Rogue and budget decks. I think this is probably the Rogue King spell card, at least. It works in so many decks. It does wonders for pretty much any deck that plays a lot of the same types and attributes and stuff. It just really, really helps your deck out. If it's a little weak, not quite a meta deck, this card is amazing. Play 2 Transmodify. I explained why we played that a little bit earlier. Easy way to get to Elegy, or special summon out Area if you have a level 3 that you can upgrade to a level 4. 2 Pot of Desires. We don't have much draw power in this deck, so playing Pot of Desires, basically as long as you're not banishing that 1 Elegy, Pot of Desires doesn't really hurt you. And then 2 Called by the Grave, and 1 Polymerization. Called by the Grave should be obvious. You have cards that you want to go off and not be negated and whatnot, so Called by the Grave will help against some hand traps. And it's also good, it is a really good defensive card as well, if you happen to set it and need to mess with your opponent's graveyard a little bit. And then Polymerization, you search it off of Tam, and also it's basically your only way or one of your only ways of going into the Melodious choirs, which are pretty good. So that's it for the main deck. I believe it's 41. Actually, the 41st card was the Barrier Statue. I felt since we had Ties of the Brethren and all light fairy monsters mostly, why not throw that in there? Because we play Pot of Desires as well, so I'm fine going over 40, even if it's just one card. The extra deck, play the best fusion monster, 2 Schuberta. It just requires 2 Melodious monsters, that's it, so very easy. For Ostinato, this is the main one you're going to want to be summoning. But during either player's turn, you can target up to 3 cards in any graveyard and banish them. So that is actually very good. And then for each card that you banish, this card gains 200 attack. You can only use that effect once while this card is face up on the field. But that doesn't matter too much. You're boosting its attack and banishing cards from your opponent's grave, which a lot of decks mess with the grave a lot. So we also play Bloom Diva. This one requires a Melodious Maestra and a Melodious monster. The only Maestra we play is Schuberta, so it's a little more difficult to get out, but not too difficult. But this one cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. And if this card battles a special summon monster, after damage calculation, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference between the original attack of that opponent's monster and this card. So it's got 1,000. So if you're attacking into like a 3,000, your opponent's taking that 2,000 damage because you're not taking any battle damage and you're just inflicting it to them. And then if you do, you destroy that opponent's monster as well. So it's a pretty good card. And then Bloom Prima is the other one. This one again requires the Maestra and another 1 or more Melodious monsters. But this card gains 300 attack for each fusion material used for the summon. And then it can make a second attack during the battle phase. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Melodious and add it to your hand. So that's it for the fusions. Those are the only important ones. Really the only ones you need. The Xyz, Fairy Cheer Girl. We play fairy monsters, so if you need some draw power, it's a good card to do. Starliege Paladimo. Again, this is changing the attack to 0 of one of your opponent's face-up monsters, and it negates its effects as well. Tsukiyomi, again, kind of fixing ugly hands if you have a lot of cards you don't want to see. And then just the generic rank 4s, Dweller, Baguska. I like Utopia and Utopia Lightning. Not crazy about double because you do have to play double or nothing in the main deck, and that can be a brick sometimes. So since we are playing Honest, this becomes very good. Just a lot of damage that you can potentially have on board. And then the links, Hippo Shinogen, we play all lights basically, and then just some general removal. Cerberus for monsters, spells, and then really anything. Spells and traps. But yeah, that's the deck, guys. Again, I will be doing the Thunderclap Skywolf, which is it's going to be a super, super cool deck. Kind of like one of those low-key, like, people don't expect it and will never expect it. But it definitely can do some cool stuff. Kind of a teaser, the Thunderclap Skywolf is a Regeki on your opponent's turn. So a Regeki that's spell speed 2, basically, is what you're looking at. With all the traps we play and just ways of getting Thunderclap Skywolf special summoned to the field, it's going to be an awesome deck. So that should be, hopefully in the next few days, be posting that one. All right, catch you guys in the next one.